You're listening to the Sports Scramble podcast, where four friends serve up a weekly plate of sports with a side of SEC bias. Now, here are your hosts, Chet, Jacob, Wade, and Tyler.
Let's go!
What's going on, party people? Welcome to another episode of the Sports Scramble podcast, brought to you by Belly Up Sports. It's college football time. We had week 0 with the Florida State and Georgia Tech and Ireland. We'll get into that and a couple other teams. I think SMU and Nevada played, and then I don't know who the middle game was. But we're back. We're finally back. We've made it through the long summer. I'm standing up today because I'm amped to do the podcast. NASCAR Neil just texted me his NASCAR update. I watched the last 2 laps of that race. That was pretty crazy. I just happened to turn it on and saw somebody doing 360, 180 flips into the concrete wall. But he's okay, I think. NASCAR Neil will have to weigh in on that. We got big slate of college football, some baseball news with our boy Dylan Cruz getting called up. Of course, Fantasy Football Corner, and then wrapping up our NFL preview on the AFC and NFC side. Tyler, Wade, Jacob's gone. How are y'all doing tonight?
Doing pretty good. Good to have you back because I'm sure the people are tired of hearing me talk.
It's been I had to take a little hiatus.
Extended SEC talk, so it's good to have 4 of us.
Well, we got the golf coach himself. I chipped in on a hole to beat him. Then I hit it out of bounds and lost to him. Jacob, how's it going?
What's going on? It's going good. He
had to give me 6 strokes on Saturday, and he beat me by 10. So that was rough, but I will be back with a vengeance. Let's just jump into college football. I'm fired up. I'm sure y'all are fired up. Go watch the hype video on the YouTube channel. Hit subscribe. Check it out. Let's talk about that Florida State Georgia Tech game. Tyler, what'd you see from or lack of seeing from the Seminoles? Finally, somebody else losing that first week and not LSU.
Yeah, I think I was very impressed with Georgia Tech's both defensive line and offensive line. If you would have told me that they would have more rushing yards against Florida State, I mean, like the talk of the town in the previews is that Florida State's offensive line was going to control this one against the Georgia Tech defensive line that last season, wasn't so great. They were at the bottom of the ACC, but they were able to do it. I feel like Haynes King, he had himself a heck of a game. It's probably not like Georgia Tech's best game. I think that their best game still to come. Obviously, Florida State, they have a lot of question marks. And the ACC play will continue as they get Boston College at home. But DJU, I mean, did we really think that this guy was going to be the answer for Florida State after Jordan Travis? No. So I think that people who bought into the hype of Florida State like me is probably going to retract their pick of getting them to the playoff this season but I was definitely impressed. I honestly regret not putting, at least $5-10 on Georgia Tech money line because I had a feeling that it was like something brewing, especially in Ireland. But got to give credit to Georgia Tech, and now you got Georgia State. So hopefully they get the job done and continue on a good season.
Florida State's defensive line looked absolutely horrendous, and that was their big thing last year. I mean, Georgia Tech could have walked up and said, hey, we're going to run the ball here. We're going to run the ball here, and you can't stop us. It was just – they were running it down their throat. What did their coach say? Run the ball. I mean, the ESPN producer should have been fired for cutting from that. I mean, that would have been a perfect meme. And they cut to the small camera and put the highlights on. But it was – I mean, DJ, you need to get a job. If they win, it's a decent game, not great. But he managed the game well. He had that fourth quarter drive. But the loss, it just I don't know. I think it's more on Florida State's defense than him, but I'm with you, Wade. I don't think he's the answer. There's someone else that's transferred 14 times, and everybody's –
TJ Finley?
No, not him. He plays for big school now. I can't remember. They don't come to me. But it's somebody that's in that similar position where he's transferred. Yes. Which I think he has the chance to be good at Oregon.
He's worked his way up every time. I mean, he went UCF to Oklahoma to Oregon. Now it's a little odd that he jumped ship before Oklahoma was coming to the SEC, but I think Oklahoma made some promises to Jackson Arnold and just wanted to get on to the next phase of their program. So that's probably what happened.
Yeah. And I guess with with Dylan Gabriel, he hasn't really like lost the job, right? I mean, he's kind of left for greener pastures.
I mean, he's really good at what he does. He's not necessarily going to be an NFL prospect, but he's an above average quarterback wherever he goes. But he's also 25 at this point.
That is true. That is true. Just like DJ, I'm just gonna say you, not because I'm not gonna try to. Even the announcers weren't saying his last name until I noticed they said DJU about 7 times straight, and then they threw in his full last name once. Futch, how awkward was the plane ride back? If you're Florida State, you just got your butts whooped up and down the field by Georgia Tech.
Well, I don't think we know yet because they're still there.
But
really, yeah, I think they stayed for an extendo
vacation after the loss.
Yikes. Yeah, they can think about their sins, reminisce. No, I was really impressed with Georgia Tech kind of from the get-go. I felt like they were the team that nobody kind of knew what was going to happen, from the end of last year to the start of this season. So, no, I think they did a really good job. I think they put people on notice last year, with their weird fluke win against Miami.
Mm-hmm.
And Florida State just wasn't prepared. I think there was too much talk. And there's other schools out there that we'll get to eventually that we'll have the same discussion, that are a lot of talk in the off season. But then we get to the regular season. It just, we get there and we see the product on the field, and it's just not what it was drummed up to be. An example is Texas. I mean, for how long have we talked about Texas being, here they are, they're coming back, and they're just not. So it kind of the same story. To bounce off what you guys said kind of about Dylan Gabriel, but I'm going to stay in the ACC. My biggest question mark quarterback-wise wasn't DJU. It's actually Cam Ward that I think is going to be
another journeyman.
Yeah, it's going to be the biggest question mark for that program. Is it somewhere he can come in and basically be that guy? And he was at Washington State, but it's a completely different program system there. Miami's
before Washington State.
Can't be any worse than what you had last season with Tyler Van Dyke.
Yeah, that's tough. That was a really tough situation.
Where was he before Washington State?
He's Incarnate World, which is or Incarnate Word, which is a Catholic school. And
see, I can't forget, like on Wade said on last show, like we were previewing Western Kentucky, and he brought up TJ Finley. I had no earthly idea that he's starting against Alabama against Western Kentucky. So good luck with that.
All right, well, upset alert.
It's like people like Dylan Gabriel kind of remind me of the situation that Sam Hartman's in now. Was at Notre Dame, did all right, and now he's going, he's in the NFL, and he could not see the field for the foreseeable future, depending on what happens there. So these guys stay in college for so long. I mean, they're a grad student now and things, and they might not be in a better situation had they just gone the previous year, in that situation. It's one of those
if you're an NFL GM, do you want to draft a 22-year-old quarterback or a 26-year-old quarterback?
Exactly.
Well, there's a difference. If you're Joe Burrow, nobody bats an eye that you're coming out of LSU at 24. Yeah. But if you're undersized or you still have blemishes, then
Cam Rising probably won't get drafted if we're being honest.
Yeah, I don't think you'll see him have a NFL career really, just because of where he's at, and teams don't have that time with them, and so much of the NFL now is development. We're seeing 3rd and 4th string quarterbacks playing in the preseason, guys that'll never see the field, never see the practice field and get reps. And that's tough to see. Like, I watched the game last night with Washington and New England, and seeing Trace McSorley playing 3rd string quarterback for the Washington Commanders. Bailey Zappi's finishing the game for the Patriots started 8 games last year, and now he's sitting in a situation where he's not going to see the field at all, depending on what they do with Jacoby Brissett and Drake May.
Yeah.
Well, needs to be QB1. That's all I'm saying.
Oh, 100%. And you look at his stat line; it's not that great. But you also look at like 4 or 5 passes that were dropped. that make that stat line.
He couldn't catch a cold.
I think Derek Carr's coming to a realization, though, that that's the case. Like, why
weren't the starters playing? It's not like their offense is just like so great.
They need the reps.
Yeah, they need the reps. Like, why are they just sitting on? I'm not going to get into the rant. I'm not going to do it.
Yeah, we'll hold it. We're on college.
Hey, but while we're on the subject, Bo Nix, if you sat in Tiger Stadium with me like you guys did and watched him play against LSU, did you think that guy would ever be an NFL starting quarterback? And he defied the age thing that we're just talking about, because Zach Wilson is actually 4 months younger than Bo Nix, and he's been in the league 4 years.
Yeah, we'll see what Sean Payton's got cooking up over there. So back to Florida State real quick. They go to play Boston College. They are big favorites, which I'll get to in our betting segment. But you got to think Boston College got a new coach in town. Bill O'Brien's back in college football. He's already got a week's worth of game tape. That's the bad thing about playing week 0. If you lose, you're really discouraged. You got game tape out there. Not really a tune-up game when you play like shit, because you can't tune up from there. I guess you could, but maybe not an upset by Boston College, but things might get freaky down there in Tallahassee.
In Tallahassee, it's an upset, absolutely.
Well, I'm saying I'm not saying Boston College is going to win. I'm just saying things might get crazy. You know, they typically do at Florida State. Shout out Bert Kreischer, but it might get crazy if Boston College comes to town on Monday night, especially if the Noles are still in Ireland. That's a little concerning. But let's get to week 1. All right, we picked 3 games. Let me get the banners up here. Tyler put some great graphics together. This is how we're going to do it this season. Instead of like just going through all the games, which we may change it, we're going to pick 3 marquee matchups, and all 3 of them happen to be SEC this week. So let's start it off with Clemson, Georgia. I feel like they played first game like 2 years ago, right?
Like a long time ago, like in 2013?
Yeah.
They did when Todd Gurley was there. Todd and Deshaun
Maybe
Watson.
I'm a little off there. I'm a little off on the timeline there, but I felt like
flying by, Grandpa, huh?
Yeah.
We see them play a lot. Georgia, Clemson. Clemson ranked at 14. Georgia, of course, number 1. Got some notes on them. Of course, question mark is Cade Klubnik. He's going into what, year 3?
Mm-hmm.
Right? Dabo's not NIL, name, image, and likeness of Jesus is what he's got over there. Meanwhile, on the Georgia Bulldogs side, they're throwing out Hellcats and DUIs left and right, and they can't be stopped. This is Clemson's best wide receiver class this year. They haven't had a lot of weapons. I mean, you're coming off quarterbacks with Deshaun Watson and Trevor Lawrence to Cade Klubnik. I forget DJU played a couple snaps. I think from a trenches standpoint, games won in the trenches, I'm giving the edge to Georgia, which I think is obvious. Big SEC boys going against the Clemson team that's a little smaller on the defensive line. I think if Georgia gets the run established early, you got is it Travis or Trevor Etienne?
Trevor.
I get them mixed up. Trevor Etienne transfers from Florida to Georgia. He's got all the talent in the world, like his brother. He's got a little bit of extra motivation because his brother went to Clemson. You establish the run with him early, and then you let Beck and his Lambo truck just run the field. He's got a Lambo truck. You'll see that in a little Urus that he drives around in Athens in. Hopefully it's a self-driving car. We don't need any more DUIs from them. But what do y'all think? Clemson, Georgia. I think the line's like 13.5. This seems like a ton. But what do you got? Who do you got taking this game, Tyler?
Georgia by a lot. This is a de facto home game. I mean, it's in Atlanta. I mean, sure, Clemson fans are going to travel, but I think that, if Clemson has any shot in this, their defense is going to keep it in them. I just don't trust this offense. You can say that this is the best wide receiver that they have, but still don't trust the guy throwing the ball to them.
That's true.
You got to go on the other side, Carson Beck. Just you also got to forget about, like we talked all about like Florida State, how their season ended. How about Georgia's season ended? They lost to Alabama yet again in the SEC championship. They got knocked out of the college football playoff. This is going to be a team that's want to not just beat people; they just want to kick the ever-living crap out of people this season. So big addition of Trevor Etienne coming from Florida, and this defense, we already know what's going to be. So score prediction-wise, I'll go 34-10. This is going to be a blowout, folks.
Okay, Wade, So Clemson has got this end-all be-all offense coordinator who didn't look like much last year, but Garrett Riley, I think he's brothers with Lincoln Riley. You know, you could tell that it wasn't his scheme. I think Dabo still had his hands in the mix there. If he turns the keys over, Georgia lost a lot on the defensive side. They got a lot of younger players. You think he can scheme Clemson around some of this young talent, maybe not a little bit of a lack of experience on the Georgia side to put them up early, maybe just steal a couple possessions there and keep it close?
Yeah, I mean, it's all about crowd control. If you could go down the field and score right away, then maybe you could buy yourself some time. I don't know. Tyler let me discuss this game first yesterday, and I went a little Clemson heavy, and then Tyler just ripped their heart out. So I said
not buying the
Clemson's gonna hang
ACC.
around.
You see how Florida State played?
Yeah. I mean, the more I think about it, I think Georgia easily covers 13.5. But I do think Clemson will hang around in there a little bit. But I think that Georgia defense just reloads. To answer your question, I think that they're going to be good. I mean, they'll have some hiccups, and maybe you can catch them early. But ultimately, I think Georgia's just going to keep pulling away, and I think they win this one like, I don't know, 34-20.
Okay.
34-17.
What about you, Fletch? What are you thinking here? What's your prediction for the Clemson Georgia? Give us your take on the game.
First, I guess take on the game. I think biggest thing is Clemson's run defense. Has to be sharp in this game. Last year they were not sharp at all. They let up a lot to teams that just weren't considered run heavy teams. Defensively they really struggled. And as far as I'm concerned, Cade Klubnik doesn't have any sort of marquee win yet in his Clemson career. I just don't see this being the start of it yet, especially in year 3, second year starting. But I don't see that being the case here. Like Wade said, yeah, Georgia's it's a reload process there for them, even at quarterback. So, I expect Georgia to run the ball pretty heavy in this one and not show too much of their hand too early in the season, even with a top-ranked matchup here like this. I mean, I really think they're going to kind of be conservative in that respect, but they're going to show up and play really well. I think the line at 13.5 is too low. I think it probably should have been at 17, all things considered. So, no, I've got Georgia putting up 42 points. I'm going to go 42-21. I think they'll double up on them.
Okay. Well, if you're in the comments, let us know your score prediction, who you got winning. I'm taking kind of the opposite approach. I think Clemson's going to have a lot to prove, and I think that first half's going to be close. And then it's going to be one of those 31-17 type games, right? But Clemson's going to score late in the game, kind of like a garbage time touchdown to bring it close. So I'm giving me 31-24 where Clemson covers that 13.5 spread. Something just feels different about this. It just feels a little different. Which I say that, and they're probably going to beat them by 56.
Another note is
Georgia.
Another note is has Dabo Swinney really had a major, I'm talking major upset win since they've won the national championship?
No, their era's gone.
If they lose, is the hot seat on fire for Dabo Swinney?
I think the hot seat's already going.
With a 12-team playoff, I mean, this loss gives you like 1 or 2 more losses to buy.
True.
I mean, you just have to win the ACC championship. I think the ACC winner is going to have 2 or 3 losses. The way that
this 12-team playoff sets up nicely for Dabo because they can make the playoff every 4 years, keep everybody happy. They're always going to be an upper half ACC team. I mean, they could not even recruit and get 7th in this conference year in, year out.
What's great about the 12-team playoff is it keeps those teams that have a ton of talent, like a Clemson or a Florida State, in the race because previously you lose, boom, you're done. Like, your season's over.
I like that aspect. And it allows us to see better games.
Right.
Think about it from a recruiting standpoint, too, though. If guys know that teams that are in prestige, let's say, that are below Clemson can make the playoff and play sooner, are guys gonna take that route versus sitting on the bench at Clemson for 2 seasons
Not getting
and
any
just
NIL money.
riding it out, to possibly get there, or are they going to go somewhere where, hey, this team has a shot to make it to the playoff, and I'm playing from not necessarily day one, but pretty early on in their college career.
I think that's a good point, because
you can turn a program around a lot quicker. Because you could get just maybe your by somebody's junior and senior year, you could go from being like 6-6 to maybe 8-4 to 9-3 and be in the playoff.
Because how close are teams like Kansas, Arizona, teams that
never
aren't
talking about
exactly
Kansas being a playoff team if there's 4.
Right. There's just no chance. Maybe a New Year's 6
and a G5 team too would help.
But you could say that they're the 15th best team in the country, so they're only 3 spots away from the playoffs.
Right.
There you go.
And I think that's fair. You have 130 teams that are competing for spots. It makes it more interesting. I'm not going to lie.
Even when I'm cool with 12, but even when is the next iteration going to be 18 that they're talking about, or is it 16?
I like 12. I was good with 8. I think 12's fine.
I like 12 because you got the 4 top with the buys, and then you have the 8.
I like the first round games where the home team, the lower seed, gets the host.
And I wish they would do that for the first 2 rounds.
It makes it as close to half of the top 25 getting in as possible. Really.
Yeah, that's true.
And
that's
nobody can squabble if you're 13.
Right.
You
win more games.
Yeah.
That's what you got to do.
It might be a 4-loss team. Who knows?
Speaking of winning games, we're going to go to our next matchup here with the Fighting Irish coming down to College Station to take on the Ags. I got a little insider information here. All right, I got a lot of Aggie coworkers. I had to make a call.
Did you get any insider from Notre Dame fans on this?
I should have asked our playing partner there, Jacob, when we were on the golf course last week. He is not very high on Notre Dame this year.
All right, well, that makes me feel better about my pick then.
Well, so here's the thing: we got a little bit of drama with this matchup. We have former Duke coach on the A&M side, Mike Elko, taking on his former quarterback in Riley Leonard, who's now the starting quarterback for the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. Now, Leonard didn't play much of the spring and early fall. He's recovering from like a broken foot and broken ankle or his toe, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
But I got news for you, buddy. You might have been great in Duke. I think he was the 5-star recruit, or no, he was a 3-star recruit, 5-star portal addition to Notre Dame, like one of the best portal additions in the offseason. But Duke is not the SEC, brother. You're coming down to Texas, to College Station. It's going to be a wake-up call for Notre Dame. Every year, they're ranked super high. Every year, they let us down at the very beginning of the season.
Both of these teams do.
I know. My money's on Texas A&M. I've already put money on Texas A&M. I'm riding with the Aggies. I think Connor Wegman, great start to the season last year. You can see why he's a 5-star recruit. Cut short, of course, with the injuries. But I think he's going to come out firing. From what I'm hearing, of course, they just lost their top running back. I forget his name. That was the inside information I got. The defensive line for Texas A&M is looking stout. Of course, Notre Dame typically has a good offensive line, but that's what Brian Kelly was the coach there. He's down in Baton Rouge now. But they did hire Mike Denbrock from LSU to be the OC over at Notre Dame. That is true. That is true. With this being in College Station, the line is like 3.5. I think that's insane.
It flipped. Notre Dame for a couple of weeks was the favorite.
I can't believe that they're favored.
Yeah. I think A&M is now favored at 3.5. I'm taking an absolute blowout. Give me A&M 38, Notre Dame 21. It's not even close.
Okay.
Has no
shot. You hang out with too many A&M fans.
Yeah, he's been in Texas too long, guys. I think he's converted.
Riley Leonard looks great at Duke. Who does Duke play? They don't play SEC defenses. A&M has had
obviously A&M believes in him because they hired his coach.
Well, I don't know. It's the coach. The coach. Look, they talked about the coach. Riley Leonard said, I know his defense and he knows my tendencies. I'm trusting the coach over the quarterback in an environment like College Station.
5 stars.
Yeah,
Texas A&M.
I think it's big. I think it's big blowout.
Right.
It's the opposite of the Georgia Clemson. is what y'all. I think this one's a blowout for Texas A&M, and everybody's going to say Texas A&M national champions, put them in the SEC championship, and then they're going to fall apart. But I'll give the Aggies a little bit this week.
All right.
What do you got, Tyler?
I think I'm not going to go a blowout, but I am leading Texas A&M on this matchup, which I'm pretty surprised that we're all very high on Texas A&M to win this matchup.
For one
thing, Notre Dame is way too high. There's no way in shot that they should be a top 10 team like this. Like they need to.
What they finished last year? They had like 5 losses.
Unranked.
Yeah. So
I could say the same for Texas A&M, but I do like Texas A&M's defense. I think they're going to be one of the best.
Not ranked either one of these teams.
One of the best defensive fronts. But quarterback-wise, I actually like Connor Weigman better than Riley Leonard in this matchup. You know, Weigman's coming off of an injury-riddled season. So I think you do lose a big key guy, your wide receiver, Evan Stewart. He's now but you did mention they did lose one of their starting running backs, but they also have guys beyond Moss. He's very talented. He finished off of a heck of a season. And also Notre Dame has to replace a guy that was pretty much their only type offense, and Audric Estime. He's no longer there. So this is going to be a defensive battle. I think it's going to be close coming down to the wire. But give me Texas A&M late to win this game. I'll say 24-20 that the Aggies get a big victory here to start the Mike Elko season.
So still cover. I think last I looked, the spread was 3.5, so that's still covering. What do you got, Wade? You going the other way?
I think it's going to be a ground and pound type game for both teams. I think Leonard's going to realize he can't really throw it against this Texas A&M defense. I think he's going to scramble a lot. And I think that A&M is just going to give the ball to Le'Veon Moss and whoever the third string guy is, probably 35 combined times. And I think they're just going to try to really ride the defense. I think it's going to be low scoring. I don't even think the winner gets to 30. But I'm going to take Texas A&M in the upset 27-24.
All right. We got 3 Aggie fans here. Leave it to Futch to go with Notre Dame.
Yeah. It's one of those where
are we really all going all A&M?
It's one of those where you just don't know what you're going to get in a game like this. I don't think any of us kind of know what's going to happen. The funny part is like you said, Texas A&M side. I mean, Elko's there. Elko did a great job at Duke in his short time span there, you know, and I think that it's a major jump to go from middle of the road ACC school to trying to compete in the SEC. That's the biggest question mark there. Both teams terrible starts, historically speaking, but something just tells me that Notre Dame probably has a shot to win this game, and the only reason is because of Riley Leonard. I think he has the experience. I mean, he's played in big games before. This is not his first rodeo as far as that's concerned, but I'm worried about the run game for Notre Dame. Having a sophomore be your RB1, running the football on the road is pretty tough. Some sophomore running back that really just hasn't seen the field. So, and they have a couple of transfer running backs. They'll rotate them out quite a bit. The funniest part about all this, though, on Notre Dame's side, is the fact that Riley Leonard transferred there. You got a couple of transfer running backs, not really many transfer wide receivers, but you did get somebody back at a different position than you had before. And that is Tyler Buckner, who left and went to Alabama, has come back to Notre Dame, and now he's a wide receiver at Notre Dame.
I saw that. Lacrosse.
Right. Yeah, he went and played lacrosse.
Right. So now he's listed as a wide receiver for Notre Dame, which I find hilarious.
Watch some trick plays there, Aggies.
I know, that's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking
they're going to throw the ball for a touchdown.
First drive, something crazy is going to happen. But no, do I believe in either of these teams? No, but I think Notre Dame can get a big win on the road and potentially keep their season alive early.
If this was in South Bend, I'd be picking Notre Dame, even though I said they're going to blow them out 31-17. I kind of a little carried away with that when I was making my prediction. I don't think Texas A&M is going to win the SEC.
That?
No, I think this is going to be one of those things where they're just going to make too many mistakes. I mean, they're playing in the number one rated environment in college football 25. I've played there in college football 25. It ain't no joke, but even though I don't agree with that ranking.
We've seen Notre Dame play against SEC schools, and it has not gone well.
Exactly. That's my point.
But if they do get an SEC win, this is the SEC win.
I see both sides there, right? What I really am kind of manifesting here is that Texas A&M is going to blow them out. The Aggies are going to be on fire. They're going to be like, "Woo, we should have fired Jimbo Fisher 3 years ago and paid him $200 million." And then they're going to get their butts kicked in a couple weeks.
Or Notre Dame goes into their place and beats them.
Yeah, I still like my pick on the Aggies there to beat Notre Dame.
I mean, A&M's young. I mean, they're not exactly the oldest team in the SEC.
I'm just going because they're playing at home. Like Chet
I think it's the swag.
I don't know. Environment in that situation. Notre Dame's played in all those big environments. I just don't think it's going to affect them like people think it is.
I think the swag of a new coach, young players, they're just
Riley has to play in those type of environments. This ain't, going on the road Syracuse anymore.
Exactly. They're not playing.
No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying,
going on. I know it, but it will be a factor.
I don't know.
We'll see what happens. So we got Chu in the chat talking about the college football playoff. Met his kid this weekend. Great little guy. He's listening to our bets. He's got some big baptism money. He's going to play some bets.
All right, well, learn early, fella. Fade us.
Yeah. We'll listen to Tyler. And then we got Neil. I think he's meant go giant meter in this game. Not really sure if he meant giant.
Well, he just wants a big old, like a giant meteor to strike both teams and then not win.
That's what he wants.
Let's go to our final game, which is going to be probably a 4-team sweep on a bias here.
I don't know.
We have USC taking on the LSU Tigers in Las Vegas. LSU once again schedules a week 1 game against the ranked team in a neutral site, which doesn't make any sense to me.
We've lost keeps 4 tuition straight. Down, man. We get the paycheck.
Yeah, I guess
when was the last season they won a season opener?
2019 against Georgia Southern with Joe Burrow. Right, and you know what happened when we played a cup?
All right.
You know what happened when we played a cupcake team week 1? We won the national championship.
And we beat Texas week 2.
Like, what are we doing here? Hopefully this is the last.
Hey, Brian Kelly wants to go play in Ireland, so we might see
he does.
week 0.
Little leprechaun he is. Neil's going to be there, so take that.
It has to be against Notre Dame, though, if that's the matchup. It's got to be.
Neil watching the game is usually a curse, so I don't know how I feel about him being there. But let's get into it. So both teams, very similar, new defensive coordinators, terrible defensive last year. Replacing Heisman-winning quarterbacks with Jayden Daniels and Caleb Williams, with Miller Moss and the Nussbus, Garrett Nussmeier. My big question mark going into the game is, can the LSU defense get off the field on 3rd down? That was a huge struggle. You 3rd and 17, 3rd and 24.
Have you seen the past players of what they're doing in preseason? Matt House was freaking ass last year. I mean,
I know.
You see Omar Speights? He's the best defensive player for.
He got signed to the. Was he at the Rams? He made
the Rams, whatever.
Yeah.
One of them.
I think he's the Rams.
Yeah, it is
right?
the Rams.
Yeah,
my bad.
You got Harold Perkins wearing 7. This is the year. Okay. Blake Baker recruited him. Don't screw it up. Let him do his thing. It's Honey Badger 2.0, except he's not returning punts. He might be running in touchdowns, though, if we remember the bowl game. My question is, can the LSU defense get off the field? I'm not worried about the offense. I think this is going to be one of those quarterback duel type games. Miller Moss is very talented. So is Garrett Nussmeier. Both guys. You don't see this very often. They've been at the schools for 3 years. They've sat behind the Heisman-winning quarterbacks. They've waited their turn. So they've seen it. They've lived it. It's a matter of who screws up first, in a sense. I could see somebody throwing an interception, or can they stay?
Punt.
Yeah, roughing a punt, missing a field goal.
A punt.
Oh, yeah, really. That's my other point.
Hey, that was a comeback of the century, man. For Malik Neighbors to go from that to everybody just believing he's the next Jamar Chase.
What's his face out of Mississippi State that we had transfer in? I think he's going to be the punt returner.
Not Rah-Rah Thomas.
No, Rah-Rah's not even on a team. What are you doing?
What's his name, Tyler?
Other Thomas. It's Thomas something.
I forgot.
Xavier Thomas?
Yeah,
Xavier Thomas.
Xavier Thomas. Yeah.
Rah-Rah.
He's an All-American or All-SEC punt returner, so I think we're covered there. But it's the special teams. Can we make the punts? Because USC has an All-American punt returner as well. So LSU special teams has cost them in the last 2-year opening games. Of course, in the trenches, I think you give the defensive line for both teams is kind of a toss-up. We're really not sure what to expect. But from an offensive line perspective, I think LSU has one of the best offensive lines in the country. So I give the edge to them. Like I said, QB duel, who can stay poised in the big moments, who can lead that game-winning drive or that game-sealing drive to pull away. LSU was a 4.5-point favorite yesterday. I sprinkled a little cash on it. I'm not afraid to say it. That never works out for me, but hey, we're mixing it up this year. I've got it being a close game, like a 21-17 game going into the fourth quarter, and LSU scoring a touchdown to seal the deal and win 28-17. So covering the spread there.
What a lower scoring.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to be a shootout. I think the defense, it's going to be a mix of things. I'm very nervous. I try to portray confidence to this LSU team, but I could very well see us losing and fire Brian Kelly time. Tyler, what do you got?
Yeah, this is like one of the few games in week 1 where I have no idea how this game is going to go. There's like a lot of question marks on both sides of the ball for both teams. You're replacing 2 Heisman Trophy winning quarterbacks, Miller Moss and Garrett Nussmeier. And Garrett Nussmeier, he's going to do what he got to do, but he can't throw as many interceptions as he's had. But I think that LSU in this game, they're going to establish the run game. Like you mentioned, they have one of the best offensive lines in the country. So it's going to be the Josh Williams and Caleb Jackson show. So if LSU can't run the ball, though, then this might be a long game for them. So I think it's going to be more higher scoring than you had it. I think both teams will get into the 30s just because of how bad both these defenses were. There is going to be, some improvement. There has to be some improvement.
There has to be.
At least from LSU side. But still concerned with that secondary, man. I mean, it's still the same guys that they're running last season, with the Sage Ryan, Major Burns. We know those guys. But I'll go.
New coach, they work on tackling. So let's see
you
how
got
that
Corey
goes.
Raymond, the inventor of DBU. So maybe that'll spark something in that secondary. You can only hope on that side of the ball. But I'll go 33-30. LSU winning. I feel like I've been picking LSU in every season opener, and they just let me down. So I'm hoping 2024 is a different story as an LSU fan. So hopefully, we can actually start a damn season 1-0 and not 0-1. Like,
I like it.
Golly, man, come on. I don't even care if it's a 1-point victory. Just give me a damn win.
I hope they cover the spread.
I hope they absolutely demolish him. That way, you don't have to be nervous for game number 1.
I agree with you. I think we were just talking about Florida State drops a game, Clemson drops a game. It's okay. I think if LSU drops a game or USC drops a game, that's a completely different story based on the conference that they're in.
Oh, USC got in 2 weeks they had to play Michigan, so good luck.
Yeah. Futch, we're gonna switch it up. We're gonna go to you and see what your prediction is, and if you pick USC, you might not be on that.
Please pick USC, so we're all not picking LSU.
So yeah, like you guys said, tale of two halves, especially with these two teams. Yeah, I think there's X factors on both sides offensively. I have no idea what to expect defensively on either of these teams. Who knows? USC's defense notoriously has been a dumpster fire, hot garbage, whatever you want to call it. LSU's
you could call that too.
In the recent past has been hot garbage, a dumpster fire. Same premise. But offensively, I think that's where these teams differentiate just a little bit.
First 3 downs going to hit different.
So Miller Moss, really doesn't have much time as far as that goes in the past because of Caleb Williams and Slovis and all them before. So I think he's talented ultimately, but USC I think is going to have to establish the run game early on in order to play this game well. You got the Mississippi State transfer. Woody Marks is going to be that RB1 for them, and that's their guy. The rest of their RBs are super young, 1 and 2 year guys. Couple of transfers, local transfers for wide receivers, which is okay, and they'll be all right in that department. On the other side, LSU, Garrett Nussmeier. I just don't know what to expect from Garrett Nussmeier. I think anybody knows what to expect from Garrett Nussmeier, to be honest with you.
I just know he's going to air the ball out when he gets a chance to.
It might be 400 yards, and what else?
Or it might be 4 interceptions. It's kind of a toss-up.
You might pull a Trey Lance.
They kind of have 2 X factors aside from Nussmeier, and that is, Kyron Lacey's going to be one of them, and the other one is probably going to be their transfer wide receiver from Liberty is CJ Daniels. And I think if you're going to win the game, he has to catch the ball at least 10 times in this game.
Don't forget about Mason Taylor either.
I mean, CJ Daniels, is a 1,000-yard receiver last year, and at
a running school,
right?
A team that runs the ball,
he's going to be your guy. I mean, offensively, that's going to be your guy. That's your Malik Neighbors now, really. So if you're gonna throw the ball, that's your guy. So, I trust LSU as a whole more. Do I think that SC can keep it close? I do think so. I think USC covers the spread. I think it ends up being a 3-point game at the end of it all, but I'll give LSU the win.
Oh no, not this again.
The 4.5. I didn't really.
That's a wacky number.
But I was driving through Louisiana. I had to take my chances. So
that's a wacky number. That's a Vegas number in Vegas.
Yeah.
That's what that is.
Yes, it is.
I tell you right now,
in the middle.
I'm not worried about fan presence in Vegas because I guarantee you that stadium will probably be majority LSU over USC.
Baton Rouge to
they got
Las Vegas,
direct flights. They added them.
It's cheap.
It's like $100. It's like $100 to get there. I think you fly Allegiant. You might not get there, but you'll get there.
All I know is alcohol sales that weekend going to go up through the roof.
They're going to drink the stadium dry.
$35, buddy. $35. I'll be there.
All right, Wade. What do you got?
Southern Cal 41-20. I'm just kidding. Somebody had to lay down the bunt and sacrifice. No, I think LSU wins. It will be close. I think there'll be mistakes on both sides. I think the difference is that Southern Cal's strength on defense is defensive line, but LSU's strength is offensive line. So I think that will help Nussmeier have time to see down the field. And if he does, Kyron Lacey and Daniels are way more talented than anything Southern Cal has in the secondary. So I think LSU will move the ball just fine. But look, Nussmeier can't skip a beat. He gets 1 interception and that's it, because Southern Cal is going to come in and they're going to put up points right away as well. You just can't get down by more than a score. So I got LSU winning 35-31. So I think they do not cover, but they do get the win, and I think the over barely hits.
But this is a 28-24 game at half. That's what kind of game this is, realistically.
Maybe the defenses settle in a little bit.
Maybe. My biggest thing, the entire game, did Lincoln Riley learn from his mistakes defensively last year?
Didn't he want to play in this game?
No, he's scared. He's scared to play it. So I'm hoping we come out.
I'm hoping it's the last time that LSU play Lincoln Riley.
I agree.
Give me 63 again.
Tyler, we need to, or just everybody, we need to keep track of our picks for our 3 games each week, so we can, we can keep a little record going for the end of the year and see who's got the best picks. Let's see if we got any comments on. Neil's got the under. All right. Well, Neil will be there, so he'll curse the Tigers.
Neil, place that bet, baby.
Half right now.
Neil, the more you drink, the higher it's going up.
What's the total at Tyler?
64.5 right now.
Woo, that's a lot of points.
Yeah, both teams into the 30s, they'll get there.
So we're bringing back building that bankroll. Here we go.
It's time for building that bankroll.
Okay, building that bankroll. We're taking a different approach. We're not doing these big crazy parlays. We're being smart.
Maybe not on this show.
Okay, but yeah, maybe not on this show. But we're going to be smart with our betting this year. At least I am. I placed a couple
Yeah,
wagers.
Jacob, we're going to be smart with our betting this year.
It ain't me, dog. It ain't me.
I placed a couple wagers yesterday as I was going through Louisiana. Had to take the opportunity to place some bets. So I kind of on the fence about this. I don't love the number, but I feel like this is the team for it to happen to. I'm talking about the Florida Gators. They got the Miami Hurricanes. What are they ranked? 19, 17, something like that. Coming into the swamp. That's big key. It's in the swamp. Okay. Florida or Miami is favored by 3.5. I could see this being a very close game. I could see Florida just outright winning the game, especially it's the hot seat bowl between Cristobal and Napier. I think Graham Mertz is he still Mertz,
Yep.
right? Is he still a quarterback?
Still a quarterback.
Second
Carson
year,
Wentz.
huh?
I said it sounded you were about to say Carson Wentz.
Oh yeah, Carson Wentz. No, Graham Mertz, right? It's his name confuses me. Second year in Napier. I think they get it done. The environment's going to be a ruckus environment. Whoever loses, their coach will be gone by the middle of the season, is my prediction there. But it's in typical Miami fashion. They're overranked, and I don't think they're going to win the game. So give me Florida at plus 3.5. The home team gets points. I like it. What do you got, Jacob?
I'm gonna go to a FCS versus Big 12 school. So yeah,
The conference realignment, man.
yeah. So I can't remember who's in what anymore. No, I think this is a big game, one of two big games. Colorado is the other one against North Dakota State, but I've got South Dakota State, who's the number one team in FCS, playing in Stillwater against Oklahoma State, who notoriously for the last couple of years have started off terrible.
Okay.
Not to mention my alma mater blowing them out in Stillwater. So they can remember that and sleep on that one. But I don't have South Dakota State winning the game. It is a 10-point line for Oklahoma State at home. I think that South Dakota State can cover it and keep it within 10 points. They are no team to sleep on, even though they're in the FCS.
I like it. I thought you were going to go with North Dakota State over Colorado because it's a big line, isn't it?
9.5.
No, it's 9.5.
Yeah.
That's a tricky one. Tyler, what do you got for your building that bank?
Yeah, man. Trying to bet in week one.
It's
tough. There's a lot of big point spreads. I'm not going to touch it. I'm going to go to the group of 5 matchup. Probably the best group of 5 matchup. You got a Sun Belt team going up against an American school. And I'm going to go to Mobile, Alabama for this matchup. South Alabama, 5.5. If you want a team that can cover pretty much every week, take South Alabama and bet them pretty much because they're going to give you some money. But Gio Lopez, he's back, the veteran quarterback. He's going to be one of the most underrated quarterbacks in the Sun Belt. So pair that with South Alabama defense. This is a veteran type defense coming back. And honestly, this is a mismatch. I'm not buying too much Texas this season. So give me South Alabama to cover the 5.5. I think that they could definitely win this one by double digits.
Who are they playing? Say that one more time.
The North Texas Mean Green.
Oh, Mean Green. Okay, so they're 5.5 point favorites. Wade, round us out with your best bet from week one.
Yep, I'm going to go with one that made me scratch my head, and that's never a good thing because that's Vegas dangling a carrot, but I'm going to go with Virginia Tech to beat Vanderbilt by more than 2 touchdowns. They're currently 13.5 point favorites on the road. Doesn't matter. I mean, Vanderbilt, it's not really a home game. It's just an excuse for the road fans to make a trip to go drinking.
It's still a construction site.
I think that Virginia Tech gets it done. If they don't, I think our sleeper pick in the ACC can't be relied on. I mean, you have to be able to beat Vanderbilt by more than 14.
I think we should abolish the ACC being a top 4 seed if Virginia Tech loses to Vandy.
Just move Vanderbilt to the ACC at that point.
Yep.
We don't need them. Honorable mention is going to be the Florida State versus Boston College game. Current line as of Monday night. What's today's date? 8/26. because I had somebody in the comments like date check me on a recent video. FSU's minus 16 according to ESPN bets. Maybe it's sticker shock because of what happened in Ireland. That's a lot of points. You're coming off of a long plane ride. It's a Monday night game. You just played on Saturday in week 0. Boston College is fired up. Hey, this might be the red bandana game. Who knows?
Yeah, on the road? No,
on
it's
the
not.
Oh, shoot, it is on the road. Never mind. My bad. It is in Tallahassee, but weird things happen down there.
Bring the red bandanas. Go on.
Yeah, bring them. Why not? Boston College plus 16. That's what I like. That's the honorable mention. So that's our bets for week 1. We're gonna keep track of that and see who's right, who's not. We'll give a little ticker on that. But let's throw it over some baseball. Wade, you had an interesting topic that you wanted to discuss. Something you don't see every day.
Yeah, so today I think we previewed this a few weeks ago because it could have, come into play, and today it did. So Danny Jansen was the catcher for the Toronto Blue Jays against the Boston Red Sox about a month ago. The game got suspended due to some weather in the middle of his at-bat. Well, the Blue Jays decided they were going to be sellers at the trade deadline, and the Red Sox are going to make a push for Jacob, and they decided to trade for Danny Jansen to be a new catcher to go with Connor Wong. So that presented a really interesting opportunity for the Red Sox today, and I think their manager Alex Cora knew this, and he played into it. So the Red Sox put Danny Jansen in at catcher, but the Blue Jays had to find a replacement for him because he was also the batter in the at bat once play resumed. His pinch hitter did reach base and proceeded to steal a base off Danny Jansen. So it all just kind of came full circle. He's the first player to ever suit up for both teams in a game. I don't know that we'll ever see a situation where somebody leaves mid-game, puts on another jersey, and gets out there. So this is probably the only way it will ever happen. But it is just one of those cool oddities that we see happen every so often with MLB.
Especially with the rain delay, just something new.
I mean, you could have one of those weird circumstances. We see it all the time in the MLB, and that is guys get traded in the middle of the game. Let's just say they get traded to the team they're playing against. Hey, brother, come over here and throw a uni on. You're batting 9th in the lineup.
Yeah, that'd be something else.
It was somebody this year that got traded. It was a big trade, and like 3 or 4 prospects came over, but the team's minor league affiliates were playing, so they just took their duffel bags to the other
trade.
Yeah,
I think it was involved. Yeah, with the Jazz trade. Speaking of minor leagues making debut, Dylan Cruz, not the debut we were all hoping for. He finished 0 for 3 with a walk and a K. That's okay. We're playing the Yankees, tough team.
They brought him up on a big stage against Juan Soto and Aaron Judge, and I feel like maybe that was planned a little bit because of Soto, but I don't know.
Yeah, it's you can't walk up and hit 4 for 4 grand slams every day. All right, he's gonna settle in. He'll be fine. But wanted to give a tip our hat to Dylan Cruz. I mean, you got the 1, 2, and 3 picks from last year's MLB draft all in the bigs right now. You don't see that every day. That's pretty neat. What else from the baseball world? Give us a little update, like post Olympic break. What's going on?
I mean, it's very balanced. I was looking at the standings today because, I've kind of entered football mode as much of a baseball fan as I am, but none of the division leaders are at 80 wins yet, and they're all kind of in the 70s.
The White Sox are at 100 losses.
Yes. If you want to know what game the season's on, I just look at the White Sox record because it's really easy to do the math when they already have 100 losses. So I was like, oh, what are we on? And I saw they were like 31 and 100.
I have to find my White Sox hat so I can wear it for the show.
But yeah, everyone's kind of balanced. A team that's made a big surge is the Arizona Diamondbacks. They're only 2 games back on the Dodgers. They kind of were a team that was disappointing in the first half, but all of a sudden they have like the 3rd best record in the NL. And then the Central is getting a little closer. The Cardinals, everybody kind of counted them out, but they're hanging in there. And then the Mets, the Padres, and the Braves are all battling it out for the final wild card spot. So it should be a good fight. And on the AL side, the consistent team, the Astros, they've really
Always
taken a firm grip on that division. And the Central is actually pretty tight race. And then, of course, the American League East between the Yankees and the Orioles. I think nobody would be surprised to see either one of those teams win the division and ultimately the league.
I like the Orioles just because I follow Ben McDonald on Twitter. That'd be fun to see. Tyler, are you ready? Let's shift gears back here to football for a fantasy football corner with a lot of fantasy drafts happening. We just had a fantasy draft. I have some insight to what you're about to discuss on mid to late round targets for your
They're
draft.
not mid guys, so keep that in mind.
Yes, just mid to late round, not mid, just late round.
No, they're mid. They're mid.
Okay, fine. They don't take them then.
No, it's well, let's cue it up because I feel like I got some steals in our most recent draft.
Yep, and we're also a week away from our other draft. And what I learned from YouTube, they hate 8-team leagues. So if
I know, God forbid we do an 8-team.
Sorry, we don't have enough friends.
I mean, goodness
Ran out of friends.
But no, this is not focused on 8-team leagues. If you play,
We play in all kinds. I play in a league where somebody's grandma probably got drafted because, like, there's not even a player that's projected less than 20 points on the season that's unowned. So I don't want to hear it.
Yeah, it's
exactly.
We play all kinds of comments
for that.
Yeah, but
I picked up Deuce Vaughn off waivers yesterday, actually, and was excited about it.
All right, Tyler, take it away.
All right, been throwing out a lot of advice. We did the early round targets. We went through the top 5 rankings. Wade and I did a mock draft last week. So this is going to be our final preseason edition. And then we're going to get into our season of the start and sits, as always. So tune into that every week here on the show. So I'm going to give y'all 2 quarterbacks, 2 running backs, 2 wide receivers, and a tight end. So this is mid to late round targets. So just before you're filling out your bench or you need a starting quarterback. Here, let's go off with the first guy, and this guy is coming back off of an injury, and it is none other than Kyler Murray, the quarterback from the Arizona Cardinals. All right, I'm interested to see what Jacob has to say. I'm only in like one dang player, and he's already but all right, let's get into it. Kyler Murray, like I mentioned, coming off an injury, and I like his weapons. They just drafted Marvin Harrison Jr., and they have James Conner in the backfield. So you get him at his ADP right there, number 69. Hey, that's a magic number right there. So this is going to be your quarterback. I think that he could finish, honestly, as high as a top 5 quarterback this season. That's how high.
What?
Yeah.
Top 5.
Are you kidding?
Yeah, I'd rather hear that than Anthony Richardson, okay? I'm
more high. I think I'm more on the train of Kyler Murray this season than Anthony Richardson. I definitely like the addition of Marvin Harrison Jr. this season. And I like my quarterback that can also, pass and also be a dual threat quarterback. So Kyler Murray, I think that this is a steal. Like, if you need him to be your starting quarterback, definitely do it. But if you get him as being your backup quarterback, go for it, just depending on what type of leagues that you play in. But Kyler Murray, he's been my guy throughout this whole entire stretch of me playing fantasy football. So I think that this Arizona Cardinals offense is going to be good. And I also didn't mention Trey McBride. I think that Trey McBride is going to be one of the top tight ends of fantasy football, and he's going to be feeding him a lot. So if you can get Kyler Murray in the middle to late rounds, definitely go for it. Another quarterback that I'm also eyeing is the Green Bay quarterback, Jordan Love. I love Jordan season. A lot of young, talented wide receivers.
Hey now.
All right. Calm down. All right. But you got Jaden Reed, Christian Watson. It's going to be a new look running back, but you did honestly upgrade in running back. You did get Josh Jacobs. Aaron Jones is no longer in that system. So you're going to probably see a lot of Josh Jacobs this season. And Jacobs can also be a running back that can pass catch too. So Green Bay, everyone's talking about the Lions, of how good this offense is going to be. I think that the Packers could really vie for this division title in the NFC North this season. So I think that I got to give credit. This is a young, talented offense. We saw Jordan Love's potential last season. I think that he's going to continue to be a phenomenal quarterback in this league. If you are in a deeper league and you have to have him as a starting quarterback, go for it. But also, again, if you have him as a backup and, say one of your starting quarterbacks get hurt and plug him in Jordan Love, I would definitely like it. So you see his projected points. I'll get to you in a second. 294, 29.4 passing touchdowns. That's right around the neighborhood that I see him. So draft Jordan Love if you can. Chet, what you got?
So just to add, I wanted to add an extra player, former Green Bay Packer, drafted him with the last pick in our fantasy draft, Aaron Rodgers. A lot of people forgot about him. Just throwing that out there. Another quarterback to take late round.
Yeah, I don't know about all that, but all right. Let's go on to the running backs. We're going to go to the Dallas Cowboys to sign Ezekiel Elliott. It's Rico Dowdle, the much younger running back.
Oh, my gosh.
Yep.
Goodness gracious.
I trust more of Rico Dowdle. If you looked at it last season, it was the Tony Pollard and Rico Dowdle show. It was supposed to be Tony Pollard, and here are the Dallas Cowboys. So this is going to be a Cowboys team that's just going to be a split backfield. It's going to be Ezekiel Elliott. It's going to be Rico Dowdle. But I think at the end of the season, Rico Dowdle is going to be your RB1. If you can get a guy like RB1 to get a lot of carries, especially this late around, you can't really find many. Like Brian Robinson Jr. from the Washington Commanders, he could also be a good pick. But that's also a split backfield with Austin Eckler. So he'd look at his ADP, pick 146. I mean, if you get that late, you could get RB1 production. That's exactly what you want. And he's on a really good offense, too. They just gave CeeDee Lamb the bag, so he's going to be back in this offense. And it's also a good offensive line, too. They're old and aging offensive line, but they're still one of the best offensive line in the league. So definitely got to trust Rico Dowdle. I'm not really touching Zeke. Maybe he can give you some touchdown production, but I think that Rico Dowdle, by the end of the season, he's going to be the RB1 for the Dallas Cowboys. Now let's go on to another running back that could definitely give you some RB1 potential, and it's Chase Brown, the Cincinnati Bengals. Similar situation to what Rico Dowdle is in is Chase Brown and Zach Moss. Zach Moss is coming back. But when has Zach Moss been the bell cow back? It had
never. The first 3 weeks of last year.
I think it's going to be 1A and 1B, but I think that I honestly love Chase Brown more than Zach Moss in this situation, this Bengals rush. You saw him at Illinois. He was an absolute dog for the Fighting Illini in his collegiate years. So get him at 112. Like I mentioned, I'm just trying to get as many guys as I can on my bench that can provide some RB1 production just in case, if you have a bust in the early rounds and you need a backup. So he's only projected 4 rushing touchdowns, but I would not be shocked if he eclipses that. And honestly, 613 rushing yards from a split backfield is not too bad a production either. So I think that Chase Brown, if you can get him, he's in the late rounds. If you're playing an 8-team, 10-team, if you're in a 12-team league, he's probably going to be one of your first bench running backs coming off the board. Also, let's go now to the wide receivers. Wade has been hyping this man up, and it's going to be Brian Thomas Jr. from the Jacksonville Jaguars. If you can get him, he has potentially league-winning status for you, I think, in my opinion. But he really has a chance to be the wide receiver 1 for this team. Christian Kirk is probably going to be the lead guy, being the targets, but no more Calvin Ridley in this offense. I do think that they are going to feed Evan Ingram the tight end, and obviously Travis Etienne, he's going to do his thing out of the backfield. But I see those 5 receiving touchdowns. Take the over in that. He had 17 at LSU. I'm not saying he's going to get 17 in his rookie season. If he does, then you got a top 10 wide receiver on your hands here. But I think he eclipses that, and honestly, it would not shock me if he gets 1,000 receiving yards in his rookie. You look at him in the preseason, and Trevor Lawrence has been going to him. So you don't need Trevor Lawrence to be some elite quarterback. You just need him to just feed Brian Thomas, and especially in a PPR format. I think that Brian Thomas is a hit, especially his ADP at 119. Come on, that's going to be the steal of your fantasy football drafts. Another wide receiver is another rookie, another guy that I've been hyping up all off season is Xavier Worthy from the Kansas City Chiefs. I know that they just signed Juju. Am I worried? Hell no. Juju sucks. So Xavier Worthy, he does suck. He hasn't done anything. But Xavier Worthy,
he started dancing. He sucks.
I fully expect Rashee Rice, honestly, to play. We're been through this late. I just don't think that he's going to serve any suspension. His court date's not till December. So Rashee Rice will still probably be the wide receiver 1, but I love Xavier Worthy. He's pretty much a Tyreek Hill clone that Patrick Mahomes got in this NFL draft. So you're getting a guy that can put up wide receiver 1, wide receiver 2 production in the middle rounds. So Xavier Worthy, I've been drafting him pretty much on every team this season except for the one that we were just in. Somebody sniped me, but that's all right. But Xavier Worthy from the Kansas City Chiefs, I mean, there's really nothing you could really say about this offense. They continue to produce every single season. So if you can get at least one of their pass catchers, go with Xavier Worthy, the rookie out of Texas. I mean, he ran a 4.21. He's going to be burning people left and right. So let's finish things off with the tight end. And I am just in shock of how this guy has just fallen, and he's coming off a terrific season. We're going back to the Dallas Cowboys. It's Jake Ferguson. I mean, come on. Why is he going so late when he was a top 10 tight end last season? If you miss out, on Kelsey, Laporta, McBride, one of those top tight ends, you get Jake Ferguson, your starter, you're golden. I mean, CeeDee Lamb is going to be their wide receiver 1, and Jake Ferguson is going to be the number 2 pass catcher. I mean, every time that they got into the red zone, they're going to be looking at either CeeDee or Jake Ferguson. And those receiving touchdowns, give me the over on that one, too. I think that he eclipses that. Would not shock me either if he is a 1,000-yard receiving yard tight end. So this is a steal for me. Definitely going to be one of the top tight ends when you look at this end of the season. So those are my mid to late round targets, and that's my advice for the preseason. So good luck to everybody.
So I've got one other person I'd like to add here, Tyler, from a just previous draft we just finished up. Keon Coleman. I mean, coming out of Buffalo, he's probably going to be wide receiver 1, wide receiver 2. I snagged him really late in our fantasy draft last week. So that was somebody I was happy to grab. And a lot of people forget about Cooper Kupp. Just saying.
Yeah, honestly,
for that.
He could be top 5 wide receiver, and you could get him in the 4th round. I mean, there's not – him and George Pickens are about the only people you could possibly say that you could get that late that have top 10 upside. So
yeah, I think I grabbed Cooper Kupp in the 6th round.
People just think that Puka's going to assume the number 1 role. I mean, I think
Matt
they're going to
Stafford
compliment
still
each other.
loves Cooper Kupp. They're butt buddies. I mean, come on. They share lockers probably. They're right next to each other. So I think that's somebody else.
I've been talking up too much. Freaking Chet sniped me.
I know. I saw him and I was like, I gotta take him.
I didn't even see him. That's how low he was on the ranking.
Yeah, he was. I was shocked by how low he was.
I think I took Drake London, and I was like, oh shit.
Let's get to who got our real quick. CeeDee Lamb. You just mentioned him. He's not going to be late round. Signed a huge contract extension. I think it was a bunch of just.
He's coming to me if CMC goes.
I think he wanted a paid vacation for the preseason.
If CMC goes 1 in my draft, I'm taking CeeDee Lamb. So there you go. That'll be your 1-2 picks.
Yeah,
the Cowboys talk died down for a week, and they needed a story. So
I think that's exactly what it was. Jerry Jones is a salesman. He knows how to get eyeballs on him. So highest signing. $37 million, highest signing bonus for a non-QB. So, is it deserved? Probably. We'll see how he plays this year. Dak's got to get paid. There's a lot of people that got to get paid on that team. All right, dog of the week. Here we go. What's happening? Why isn't it playing?
Want any of us to talk?
It's the animation's not playing. All right, well, rough. That's who got.
Hey, it's also National Dog Day, so we're doing this.
Yes, so that can't skip out on the dogs.
That was like a 10-15 second delay there because for some reason the animation wasn't playing. But my dog, I don't know his name. I only know him as the dude from Georgia Tech, the linebacker, number 44, with the cool shoulder pads.
You changed on us. What the frick? Usually we're going to pick the Little League team. Gosh,
yeah, I changed the
name. You have 2 Georgia Tech now. Oh, well.
But you can still have a Georgia Tech one.
No.
They're the double dog of the week.
I don't even know his name. I just know he looked like a dog, and he had a big 3rd down stop. So that's
he's featured in our hype video.
There you go. Tyler, what you got?
All right, fine. I'll stick it with Georgia Tech. I'll go with the running back, Jamal Haynes. He's the dog of the week. And honestly, he might be the next running back for UAB if he has some more years of eligibility in EA Sports College Football 25. But 11 carries, 75 yards, and 2 touchdowns. So there you go.
Pretty
This
good.
is Jamal Haynes.
Wade, what you got?
All right. It's still baseball season. Yes, for just another week.
Fantasy baseball team.
It'd be very hard to ignore what Aaron Judge is doing right now. Over the last 10 days, he has a 350 batting average with 9 home runs. And I just watched him make like 3 Gold Glove type plays in center field just in one game against the Nationals. I just think it's crazy that you have somebody that's bigger than any NFL defensive end or any NFL tight end playing the most, probably the second most agile position on the baseball diamond out there in center field, second to only shortstop. And I think it's inspiring other teams to do the same thing. O'Neal Cruz just got moved to center field today from shortstop. Other tall center fielders that we see, they're getting shots out there. Like I just feel like you might see Ellie Cruz out there at
Put
some
him
point.
out there. He throw somebody out in a heartbeat.
Yeah. So yeah, I just think that Aaron Judge, I mean, he's going to walk away with the MVP at this point. Yep. He has 52 home runs now, I think, and he's playing really good defense.
That's the man for PEDs. I have a feeling it's going to.
He doesn't need them.
I know. I just have a feeling it's going to be one of those things. Who you got, Futch?
Well, it's National Dog Day, and it is the dog of the week, so might as well put a dog in the dog of the week. Dog of the week has to be the Clearwater Threshers' new bat dog, Lucy May, dropping a deuce in between. Second base and the mound.
Here, you need some pine tar on your bat. Here you go.
Dude, absolutely hilarious. The dog had no interest in the bat whatsoever. Goes out there, does a lap, drops a deuce, and then comes back, gets the bat, and goes back in.
When she ran past the bat, I was like, "Oh, it's gonna be one of those things where the players." Was not expecting.
When they sniff it around for a couple of minutes, they know what they're doing.
That poor Dominican baseball player thought that dog was coming to take his lunch because he jumped out of the way, and then that
just
dog
taking a shit right.
just took a dump. Just perfect.
I'm gonna go ahead and throw a hidden gem out there. I don't know if y'all have any, but the Florida Little League team took down.
Morris, what was the Taiwan kid doing? Throwing it to a ghost at first base.
That's where I'll get to.
Back to Taiwan.
Chinese Taipei is the proper name, as we learned in the Olympics.
By the way, you won the
Olympics. Get that out of here.
I won?
Yep.
I didn't get to catch the show last week because I had to go to bed early.
Well, it was 2 weeks ago, but...
Or 2 weeks ago.
Yes, you edged me out.
Whoa. Look at me getting the Olympic gold. I was just thinking about that earlier.
We'll be back in 4 years unless we do the Winter Olympics.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But Florida Little League team lays off the squeeze bunt. The guy scores, and the only place to go to first, well, guess what? It's a ghost runner or a ghost first baseman. There's nobody there, and the USA takes down Taiwan once again to win.
Suck it, Taiwan.
Yeah, that's right. But what were they, like 12? I don't know how old they were.
We're bad-mouthing Taiwan, but they're a U.S. ally in the situation. But okay, whatever.
Hey,
doesn't matter to me. They can't make up.
Hey, I'm rooting for the Stars and Stripes.
If it was China or Japan, I'd be a lot happier. But
I know
Japan always makes it.
Yeah.
If I was the coach, the base running coach at first base, I would have caught that thing and chucked that thing so far in the air like that.
Taking the automatic double.
Yep.
All right. Who else got a hidden gem? Anybody?
I just really haven't announced, but looking forward to tomorrow watching after a knock off of work. The Connor Stallions documentary will be dropping. So I watched today the Florida Gators documentary just because I was bored on my off day. I was just trying to watch something. But yeah, I'm looking forward to what went down last season with that whole.
Has the Steve McNair one come out?
Yeah, it just.
Yes, me and Elise watched it on Friday. It was not surprising if you've read the story, but just like imagine Lamar Jackson coming off an MVP season and then just dying.
Okay, well, I will be tuning into this.
I have a hidden gem though, and I have no idea what level of football this was, but it looked like high school maybe. And the quarterback threw an interception over the middle of the field.
I actually have a better one now.
It was the referee that caught the football though.
He got laid out.
Yeah, the player didn't know what to do, so and didn't hear a whistle, so he just tackled the ref.
Just laid him out.
Gently. Politely.
I think it was high school. I'm pretty sure it was high school.
Politely, but he tackled the ref.
That was funny. All right, Tyler.
Okay, I remember mine now. So in the Canadian Football League, the score is 19-19. They were setting up for like a 30-yard field goal, and they miss, and they win because they have this bogus rule that if you get into a zone, you get a point. So the team won 19, even though that they missed a field goal.
What?
Yeah.
So you could just aim all the way to the corner of the end zone and just blast that shit.
That is the wildest.
That's the most Canadian thing ever.
Yeah, I remember it now. I was like, what the hell is this?
All right, Jacob, what do you got for us?
I don't know. It's not as funny. But I watched the BMW Championship quite a bit here and there this weekend.
Rory breaking his driver.
Watching Rory
funny.
And then Matt Fitzpatrick just going ape shit on this freaking official because he cracked his driver, and he was like, just to prove a point, I'm gonna hit it. And he hit his cracked driver and just absolutely duck hooks it into the crowd left, and just like looked at the guy, was like, "Are you happy now?" That was wild, but no, I think it was funny. The hidden gem part of the whole thing was that Keegan Bradley, who was the last person in on the week, who literally only made it because I think somebody dropped out, and the fact that he was a Ryder Cup captain and everything. So he was the last guy in the field of 50, so he was number 50, and this guy ends up winning the tournament.
Plus 12,000.
Yeah, and just, is insanity. That the fact that the guy...
I believe he will be maybe not a top 6, but he's like ranked top 8 10 for the President Cup. Yeah. So Ryder Cup captain, he's an assistant captain on the President Cup, maybe a playing captain. We'll see how that goes. We forgot the Super Bowl predictions.
I'll save it for next week.
We'll save Super Bowl predictions and the AFC, NFC West predictions for next week. I got a NASCAR Neil update, and I just happened to catch the very end of this race. It was crazy. It was back in Daytona. 2 races left in the regular season. As expected, the drivers immediately into fuel-saving mode, which allows the third line to form in the first 5 laps. Stage 1 was clean, no issues there. Rookie Josh Berry wins that, making it his first career stage win. Chris Buescher finished at 3rd, giving him 7 initial points to help him on his battle at the cut line. During the pit stop, though, there was a scary incident when a fire was started by the 11 car, spreading to the 99, and the entire rear end goes up in flames by the split fuel, and Suarez has to quickly get out of the car. With these specialized cans, only a small amount of fuel can leak out, but it was enough for the fire to spread and cause the issue. Early in the run, the Penske cars and the RFK cars, RFK is now dropped out of the race there, link up for some serious tandem power. On lap 60, the big one occurred on the backstretch when the 10 got loose from a bad push from the 7 car and gets into the 42 car, stacking up the field. Lap 82, another caution comes out where the 19 gets flat in 2, and then the 43 gets flat on tire exiting 2. And the SVG blows his engine on the same lap as he flies down the backstretch. Luckily, no other cars were involved. Stage 2 wraps up with a 7-lap shootout and solid battle up front between Larson, Bradkay, and Logano. Logano took the stage. With 21 to go and prior to the last stops, the leader John Hunter Nemechek spins out. This allows the teams to make their last stop under the yellow, which shows off a few of the teams who are moving around to link up to the pits and groups as that's the norm here at Talladega. With 9 to go, McDowell, the leader, gets loose and collects most of the field in turn 1 and what is the second big one of the night. He gets sideways with half his car in the air and the other half on the bumper of the 22 and nearly gets into the catch fence. With this is the wreck that I watched. With 2 to go, another wreck occurred with the leader and Josh Berry flipping down the backstretch, landing on his roof, and just going straight into the wall of the car. It's such a sad end. What was otherwise a great night for the rookie. I mean, they were racing, they were rubbing, and he just kind of fished whoever hit him, fishtailed him a little bit to where he catches air, does like a freaking 360 barrel roll, upside down, lands on his roof, and slides full speed into the concrete wall. And there's sparks. I don't think the car caught on fire, but I just happened to sit down and flip it on, and it was there was 4 laps to go, and I was like, "Oh, it's NASCAR! Holy crap! What was that?" I mean, it was insane. So that was about like 20 minutes before they got all that sorted out. Went into overtime, and on the last lap, Kyle Busch was leading down the backstretch, but Harrison Burton comes out of nowhere from the outside, gets him, and takes the win. 100th win for the famous Wood Brothers Racing, one of the original teams in the sport. Mr. Burton does not have a ride for next season. His contract was not picked up for the famous Wood Brothers Racing team. But hey, this might he wins here, maybe he'll get a job for next year. It was pretty impressive to see what he did. So we're now just one race away from the conclusion of the regular season. It's not an easy one as NASCAR heads up to Darlington with just 3 spots available. And if we get another new winner, then it's just 2 spots left on points. Neil's going to come on to recap the LSU USC game next week and preview the NASCAR playoffs. We had some scheduling issues with our fantasy draft, so Neil will still try to make that work. I'll get in touch with you. Guys, that's all I got. Week 1's next week. It starts – does it start Thursday or is it Wednesday?
We got like 21 games on Thursday.
Let's see. What do we got? I think Colorado plays on Thursday, right? Yeah. So it's a great time to be alive. College football is back. We are ready to rock and roll. That's all I got. Appreciate everybody tuning in. Any last announcements? Any other hidden gems from
programming notes for next week's show? It's going to be a midday show since our draft is at 7. So we'll sneak in one more fantasy football corner. We'll just go one by one to see how we're feeling about how we're going to strategize, at least through the first couple of picks. So, yeah, we'll have one more actually preseason edition of fantasy football corner. So programming note, midday show, probably for SEC talk too, because LSU plays on Sunday night.
Another program alert. College football coast to coast is coming back also. So Tyler and I will be back
midday shows on Monday.
On college football coast to coast. So we'll be back. Yeah. So, yep.
What y'all should do on Saturday is do a little like live game tune in and talk about games. And that could be unless you want to do 3 podcasts on Monday. Up to you.
I'm not available till Monday, so Tyler, we're just gonna have to rock it.
Yeah, no, we'll hit a little Labor Day show.
We're good. So
yeah, Tyler and I are doing a weekend warrior kind of deal with that. Well,
appreciate everybody tuning in. Hit that subscribe button. Hop on the boat for college football this season. We're gonna hit it hard with smart bets, big game previews. This will be
one parlay. Just give us one win parlay for Jacob and I to ruin our curse.
Can we start the year off with one?
Y'all got to get something cooked up in the lab.
Well, I'm going to say it now. It's on air. If we score big on the first parlay, I ain't betting the rest of the year.
just ending it on that. I like it. So appreciate everybody tuning in, and we will catch y'all next week.
See you.